The three anions that we talked about yesterday, we have carbonate ion, sulfate ion, sulfite ion. These are the three ions that we will either say present when white precipitate forms or absent when white precipitate does not form. So, okay, let us add barium nitrate solution, few drops of barium nitrate solution. Look, when barium nitrate is added, few drops, white precipitate forms. So when barium nitrate is added, white precipitate forms. You can take a look at this. White precipitate forms. So we will write what we have observed, what we have seen from the result after adding few drops of barium nitrate. Okay, we will write white precipitate formed. We write formed. So when white precipitate is formed, we will write these three as present. So we have carbonate ion, comma, sulfate ion, comma, sulfite ion are all present. The three anions are present. The three anions are present. But if we add barium nitrate and there is no white precipitate, we will say that carbonate, sulfate, and sulfite ions are absent. So in this experiment, let's assume that we have added barium nitrate and white precipitate does not form. So we will be talking about white precipitate, no white precipitate. Let's talk about no white precipitate. No white precipitate. When we say no white precipitate, we will change here to be the three to be absent. Yes, so if there is no white precipitate formed, carbonate, sulfate, sulfide ions are absent because barium form an insoluble salt with the carbonate because all carbonates are insoluble except carbonates of ammonia, potassium, and sodium. All sulfates are soluble except calcium sulfate, barium sulfate, and lead sulfate. So since barium sulfate is insoluble, will form white precipitate. So if white precipitate is not formed, it means sulfate ion is absent. Same to sulfide. So these three will be absent if there is no white precipitate formed. So to the fourth portion, maybe let's take the fourth portion of the solutions. We want to add lead nitrate. In the third portion, we added barium nitrate. There was no white precipitate. It means carbonate, sulfate, and sulfite ions were all absent in that solution. So we want to add lead nitrate to confirm if chloride ion is present among the three and among the four anions. So this one is lead nitrate solution. This is now lead nitrate. This one was barium nitrate solution. So we want to use lead nitrate solution. And let's add 3 drops. 1, 2, 3. White precipitate forms. White precipitate forms. So if white precipitate forms, previously we learned that if we are dealing with barium nitrate, when we are dealing with barium nitrate, we mentioned these 3 as present if white precipitate forms. But if we are dealing with lead nitrate, we mentioned 4 including chloride. We mentioned these 3 plus chloride. So that is carbonate ion, sulfate ion, and sulfide ion, and chloride ions may be present if white precipitate forms. Now, since we had said that these 3 are absent because there is no white precipitate, but if we add lead nitrate, white precipitate forms. We are not allowed to again talk about these 3 as present, yet we had already said that they are absent in this, the equation before, the one that we are dealing with. So, since up here we have already said that they are absent. In the succeeding question, we are not allowed to mention them again because we had already said that they are all absent. So in this question, since we are supposed to mention all the 4 anions as present, but already we have said that these 3 are absent. So we are not allowed to mention them again in the succeeding question. So we'll always talk about chloride ion present. So in the succeeding question, in this question part B, we are only allowed to mention chloride but not the other 3 because we have already said that they are absent in that question. So we will only mention chloride ion as present, but not the 3. So sometimes you can be asked to warm the mixture, this white precipitate, to confirm that it is lead, it is chloride ion as present. We can be asked to boil it, to warm it in a Bunsen burner flame. So we are expecting it to dissolve on warming. So that one will confirm the presence of chloride ion in the solution. So what you should know is that whenever you talk about some components being absent in a question before the one you are dealing with,